All right, pre-AP, Unit 4, retest review. Please remember, guys, before you get started that if you do need to take the retest, the questions on that retest will be so very similar to this one. I strongly encourage you to make sure that you can answer these questions by yourself before you come in for the retake. All right? Okay, let's get started. So first we're going to start really basic. We're going to identify the slope and the y-intercept of this equation. The slope is the number with x, so m is the slope, right? That's 3/4. And the y-intercept is the number not with x, so in this case, 2, right? B is 2. And we're going to graph this thing. Don't forget to graph. That is half of your grade for this problem, right? So we're going to start with the y-intercept. Always start with the y-intercept, in this case 2. And use your slope, which is rise over run, to get more points. So my rise over run is 3/4. So I'm going up 3. Oops. I'm going to go up 3 and right 4. And there we go, right? Up 3, right 4. I got enough points to graph. I only need a couple. And we're good, okay? Problem 2. If y varies directly with x and y equals 16 when x is 13, what is the value of y when x equals 7? The key to this problem, the key to being able to answer this question is understanding the phrase varies directly and knowing that that just means that you can set this up using a proportion, right? These relationships are proportional. Now, with direct variation, it's always a good idea to do y over x, but honestly, if you do x over y, it doesn't matter too much as long as you stay consistent. So let's go ahead and get started. Y is 16 when x is 13. So 16 over 13. This is going to be proportional to the next thing they tell us. So they say, what is y when x is 7? Now, based on how I set up my first fraction, I have to put 7 on the bottom, right? I'm saying x's go on the bottom. And we're going to solve for y. So from here, you are going to cross multiply, or whatever method you call it. We're going to say 13y is equal to 16 times 7. Well, let's see. What is 16 times 7? We get 112. All right. So finally, to get y by itself, we're going to divide by 13. And we're going to get, let's see here, divided by 13, 8.6. All right, I'm just going to do one decimal place and say 8.6. All right, problem 3. Identify the slope of a line that is parallel to the graph below. The key to understanding this problem is first knowing that parallel means the same slope. Parallel means the same slope. So the slope of the line that's parallel to this graph is going to be the slope that we see in this graph, right? It's going to be the same. So what is the slope here? Well, slope is just rise over run. So let's find some points to look at. This one looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. This one looks pretty good. This one, I mean, you just need 2. You just need 2 points. All right. So how do I get from one point to the next? Well, I'm going to rise 2. I'm going to run 1. So what's my slope? Just 2 over 1, which is just 2. All right. So your slope is 2. Problem number 4, write a slope-intercept form equation given the table below. So we're looking for a y equals equation. This actually would not be too hard to do by hand, but I think most of us feel confident using stat edit, so that's what I'm going to do. So we're going to type these in here. We've got a -1 and 0 and 1 for our L1 for our x's, and on our y's we've got a 2 and 7 and 12. Okay, so we did the stat edit steps. Next, we're going to go to stat calc. So I'm going to go back over to the stat and go over to calc. And then we want to choose option 4, which is a linear regression, right? Linreg. And click enter till we get calculate. And there's my equation. So A goes with x. We've got y equals 5x and then a positive 7. And that's my equation. So stat edit just gives you that answer. Problem number 5. Convert the following equation to slope-intercept form. Okay, again, y'all, this means you need to get y equals. So let's go ahead and let's take our equation and get y equals. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get the 3x over to the other side. Okay, and we're going to do that by just subtracting, right? Minus 3x on both sides. So now we've got 5y equals 20 minus 3x. As a side note, if you had 5y equals negative 3x plus 20, that is the same thing. All right, so now I'm going to divide by 5. I'm going to say y equals 4 minus, that will give me a decimal, which I don't want, so I'm going to leave it as 3 over 5x. And we're done. All right, we converted to slope-intercept form. Problem number 6, find the x and y intercepts of the following equation. Now we taught you a way to do this with a table and putting in zeros for x and y, but nobody really remembers that method, or at least my students don't seem to, so I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to do what I normally do when I get an equation written like this, and I'm going to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So I've got 8y equals 24 minus 4x. And I'm going to divide by 8. So now I have y equals 3 minus 4 divided by 8 is 0.5. I'm going to simplify and call that 1/2 x. Okay? Actually, that's not my answer, is it? I'm supposed to find the x and the y intercepts. So why is it helpful to find the equation like this? Because this I'm going to put in my calculator. All right, I'm going to put in my calculator. So I'm going to go to y equals, and I'm going to type in 3 minus, let's see, 1/2, I'll type it as a fraction, alpha y equals, I got 1 on top, 2 on the bottom, right, 1/2 x, and there we go. Now let's look at our graph. I love the graph for this question because I can really see what I need. Here's my y-intercept up here on the y-axis. Here's my x-intercept over here. Now on my screen, it's real easy to tell what it is, but on the calculators y'all have in the classroom, it's not as easy to tell. But it kind of looks like 3 up here and maybe 6. So I'm going to check the table, right? So I'm going to do second graph, and I'm going to check the table, and I'm looking for zeros. Okay, so first one up here is 0, 3. Perfect. 0, 3. Right, that's what I thought it was on my y-intercept anyway. And then, okay, down here we got another 0, 6, 0. There we go. And let's just confirm one more time with our graph. 0, 3, okay, yeah, that's right here. And 6, 0, okay, that looks right. I'm pretty confident that that is my final answer, right? Got my 2 intercepts, my x and my y intercepts. Problem 7. Identify the slope of the line that contains these points. All right, we got 4 points here. We could use the slope formula for this. However, again, I like to make my life easy, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to do stat edit. So I'm going to take these points I've been given, negative 6, negative 24, negative 3, negative 15, 1, negative 3, and 4, 6. And I'm just going to use stat edit. All right, here we go. I'm going to go stats and edit, and we're going to type these in there. I'm just going to type them over the original here. Negative 6, negative 3, 1, and 4. Okay, my y values, I've got negative 24 and negative 15 and negative 3 and 6. All right, so if I want the slope, a stat edit will give me the whole equation, but I mean, it gives me the slope. So even though I'm getting a little extra information, I think this is still the easier way here. So we're going to do linreg and calculate, and my slope is the number with x, right? The a value in this case, so we're going to say the slope is equal to 3. Some of you might have remembered that really another easy way to do this is just calculate your change here, right? Negative 3 to 6 would be me adding 9, and 1 to 4 would be me adding 3. And slope is change in y over change in x, which is 9 over 3, which is, 3, right? So either way we do it, we get that m is equal to 3. Finally, the last couple questions here all deal with this word problem, so let's take a look. Smooth Operator Plumbing Company charges $50 per hour plus a service call fee when called to repair a plumbing problem. The company uses the equation C equals 50H plus 35 to calculate the charges C for the number of hours H on the job. What is the rate of change? Well, hopefully we know that this means slope. right? And my rate of change is the number with my variable, the number with h in this case, so $50 per hour. All right, $50 per hour is my rate of change. Now the service call fee, well, if they charge $50 an hour, and we already talked about that, then my service call fee must be this other thing, it's $35. Okay, and the service call fee is another name for the y-intercepts anyway, so hopefully we already knew that. So $35. Last but not least, how much would a 7-hour job cost? Well, they gave us an equation to calculate the cost. Either the cost is going to be equal to $50 an hour plus a $35 service fee. So for 7 hours, right, we're just going to plug that in for h, and we're going to figure out this total cost. So let's see. So 50 times 7, so $50 an hour for 7 hours, plus that $35 service call fee gives me a total price of $385. All right. One more time, you guys, make sure that if you do have any questions, you ask your teacher before you retest, because these problems are very similar on the actual retest itself. Good luck.